All right, everyone, welcome back. This is episode 10 of the CNY Sports Authority podcast. It is currently Saturday, May 24th, and it is 9:45 in the morning. This is quite the time for spring sports. Softball sectionals have begun. Baseball sectionals are right around the corner. The seeding meeting is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., so we'll figure out the brackets then. But as of right now, we're just trying to survive this endless rain, and I'm sick and tired of it. So, Jay, how about you? What's going on?
Just drowning in the floods. I think I've been building an ark in my backyard for the past few weeks to prepare. A little behind the eight ball on this one. Just talking about maybe building just turf fields places just so that people can play, because apparently that's what we need nowadays.
Yeah. I'm looking out my window right now. I'm just looking at my grass, and it's like you might as well. That could be the rough for the U.S. Open major. It's so thick and long. It's insane. But yeah, this weather has just been absolutely awful, and everyone's in the same boat. I mean, we've been looking left and right just for us in baseball, trying to figure out how to finish our league schedule. So that's been a nightmare in itself. We actually had to relocate our game for today because, as I said, we're recording this Saturday morning. Us, Stockbridge Valley, got to play McGraw today to finish out our league schedule, and we had to relocate that game to Cazenovia High School because they have turf. Yep. So we're doing everything and anything to get our games in here, which is just adding more stress to this time.
Yeah, people have gotten very creative, and I do think it'll be interesting because for at least the softball side of things, the semifinals and finals are played on turf. So those teams that have been going there definitely have a big advantage in finishing this season out. So we'll see how that all goes down with the creative scheduling.
Yeah. Before we get to what's on the whiteboard, just wanted to give a shout out for baseball here for Beaver River and Alexandria Bay. They both won their Frontier League championships. I believe they won both their regular season and their, postseason tournaments as well. A-Bay beat Saga's Harbor last night. I know that for sure. But congrats to those two guys. CCL is still up for grabs, and the Center State Conference, not really sure who pulled that one out because there's just so many different teams in that league.
And then they give it out by division. It's not like a league champion, it's division champions all over there. On the girls' side of things, Copenhagen upset Saga's Harbor, so congratulations to them for winning the Frontier League. And McGraw, for the first time in 40 years, is the CCL champs for softball, so congratulations to the Eagles on that one.
40 years?
Yeah, it's the Twilliger family has put a lot of time and effort in turning that program around.
All right, are we ready for what's on the whiteboard?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's transition to what is on the whiteboard. All right, so we're going to start with our athletes of the week. Jay, would you like to go first for softball or for me for baseball?
I'll go first because, I got to get this name out of the way. My softball player of the week is from Poland. It is Emin? No. My softball player of the week for Class D is from Poland. It's Emma Kraszewski. Solid Polish name. I like a good Polish name there. From Emma. She's batting. She is in the circle, and she's done a great job hitting this year. She's batting .548 this season, 22 RBIs, only 4 strikeouts at the plate so far this season. So Emma's having a heck of a go of it. In the circle, she has gotten exactly 100 Ks in the circle this season for the Tornadoes, and they will take on Stockbridge Valley hopefully tomorrow, in their first round of sectionals. On the Class C side of things, I'm going with Port Byron's Jenna Jump. Jenna Jump has 175 strikeouts this year, 2.31 ERA. At the bat, she's hitting .375 with 17 RBIs for the Panthers here. A very dangerous team coming down the stretch, reigning in the number 2 seed in the sectional playoffs for Class C. Who do you got for baseball?
For Class C, my athlete of the week, we got another solid Polish last name too. I went through all the Class C teams, tried to see who played the most games, had the most data. In terms of most games played and also stats entered in, I looked at Cooperstown because they had enough games, but the last 2 games didn't have stats reported, so sorry. But I went to Sequoia Valley, and my athlete of the week for Class C is freshman Matthew Spadersky, is my guess. Hitting wise, he went 7 for 10 this week. He had 2 doubles, 2 triples, 2 RBI, 2 runs scored, 1 walk, and 1 stolen base. So really breaking out this week. They played 3 games this week. They lost a tough one to a very good Class B Little Falls team. They won 10-5 against a very good and close Frankfurt Schuyler team. And pretty sure they're, somewhat, actually no, Sequoia dropped a little bit in the rankings, but a good win against a top 5 team, and then a 9-0 win versus Cooperstown. So really, really good week there for Sequoia, winning 2 out of 3, and really good week there for the freshman Matthew there. For Class D, I got to go with DeRuyter Senior Avram Moses. Hitting wise, he went 4 for 10 in the box. He had 2 RBIs, 1 run scored, 1 walk. But the big thing here for him in terms of his performance this week was he threw a 5-inning complete game no-hitter against number 2 seeded McGraw. Both coaches, I guess, agreed to play 2 5-inning games in their doubleheader to get the league games in. So that's why it was 5 innings. But still, no matter if it's 5 or 7 innings, this was an unbelievable achievement because McGraw's offense is legit. They're very well rounded. They put the ball in play, and they're very aggressive. And one thing that they do very, very well is they can string things together. So the fact that he went 5 innings with only 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, and a no-hitting performance, that's an easy, pick in my books. So very, very impressive win for them. They actually had a pretty good week. They split that doubleheader with McGraw. And then they went to Cazenovia on Thursday, I believe it was, and beat them 4-3. And I believe they had another complete game from their pitcher Foster. He went complete game, 7 innings on 103 pitches. So they're playing very, very well right now going into sectionals. I think as of right now they're the 20th seed, and they're going to be playing in a play-in round on Monday. I wouldn't be shocked if they upset whoever they play on Monday.
Yeah, it's not about where you've been, it's about where you are right now when we hit the playoffs. And they're definitely finding their stride.
Just like the old famous Oakland Raiders owner would say, Al Davis, just win, baby. Mm-hmm. Just win. Doesn't matter how.
Absolutely.
All right, let's transition to Games of the Week.
Games of the week, I chose 2 different games of the week for Class D because they were ones that clinched league titles for teams here. So first off, Copenhagen beat Sackett's Harbor 5-1 to win the Frontier League Class D title. Now, Sackett's was the home team, but the tournament was played at Copenhagen's facilities because of the turf complex, and that made scheduling way easier, I'm sure. So Copenhagen, as I have been told many a time, is a completely different team when it comes to turf than going on the road to other fields. And that proved to be true here as they beat them 5-1. Caitlin Case has 8 strikeouts, only scatters 4 hits, and gives up only 1 walk as their defense was on fire, keeping the Patriots at bay. Riley Presley goes 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs, 2 doubles, and a run for the Golden Knight offense. For Sackett's Harbor, Maya Mattis had 9 Ks but gave up 5 walks, 5 hits, and 1 hit batter. Brooke McCarter went 2 for 3 but could not link up with anybody else. And Emily Young went 1 for 3 with a double, but Sackett's offense just couldn't get away from Copenhagen's defense, and they could not string anything together. So an incredible performance by Copenhagen. I believe they put up 4 runs in the first inning to just jump right out and take that lead. And very different from a lot of the other Frontier League games that we've been seeing up from those teams up in the North Country. where we're seeing lots of runs get put together and maybe less strong pitching performances. These definitely are showing us that those teams up north do have the defense to compete here in this tournament. So, team to watch out for. Copenhagen is a 7 seed in this tournament, so a dangerous one. They'll play Belleville Henderson, looking like hopefully today, and then they go on the road to McGraw to take on the Eagles. And speaking of McGraw, they are my second Class D game of the week. They topped Stockbridge Valley 5-4 in a 9-inning battle, defensive battle. Remy Stoll throws for 14 Ks, only 1 walk on the 9 innings. Gave up 4 hits, and the Eagles overcome 5 fielding errors to top Stockbridge and win their first CCL title in 40 years. Jocelyn Eaton goes 1 for 5, which was the best offensive performance because she did hit in 2 RBIs for the Eagles in that win. Carolyn Carmen for Stockbridge had 17 strikeouts, scattered 3 hits and 4 walks throughout the game. Kendra Genge led the Cougar offense, going 1 for 4 with a triple, an RBI, and a run. And Lily Stevens went 1 for 5 with a triple and a run for the Cougars, who did take the lead. McGraw gained it back with 2 runs later on. Then Stockbridge answered right away with 2 runs of their own to get the lead again. McGraw answered with 1 to force extra innings. And then in the 9th, Stockbridge scores 1, but McGraw is able to plate 2 on an overthrow home to get the win, to win the title. A very exciting finish to that game. Stockbridge would beat McGraw the next day, 11-8. So we'll see. These 2 teams are potentially matching up again in the semifinals. So a nice rubber match there on the horizon. In Class C, the Thousand Island Vikings defeated Beaver River 8-2. Melanie Wiley had 9 Ks, 4 walks, and 5 hits that she scattered around. Her twin sister Tatum Wiley went 3 for 3 with 2 runs, and Mel went 1 for 3 with a triple and 2 runs to lead the Vikings offense. For Beaver River, Allison Meyer went 2 for 2 with a double and a run, while Sarah Herzig and Meliana Giroux only combined for 3 strikeouts and gave up 7 hits. So Thousand Islands lost to Beaver River earlier this season. This was definitely the revenge game that they were looking for as they headed into the Class C tournament. So those are my games of the week. What did you have on the baseball side of things?
Starting off with Class C for baseball, I had there was a pretty big matchup between number 2 seeded Bishop Grimes and number 4 seeded Fabius Pompey. Bishop Grimes comes away with the victory here, 7-3. It was 7-0 going into the 7th, and those 3 runs were scored in the top of the 7th for Fabius. Bishop Grimes was led by Jed Lloyd. He went 3 for 4 in the box, 1 run scored, 2 RBI. And then Owen Tierney had quite the game here. In the box, he went 2 for 4, 1 run scored, and he was the pitcher of the day and went complete game, 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and 4 Ks. So pretty complete, well-rounded game here for Owen. And as we are recording right now, both teams are still there at Bishop Grimes number 2 and Fabius Pompey at number 4. Pretty big matchup there. Big win for Bishops, or Bishop Grimes, I should say. For Class D, my game of the week, we're going to go up north here. Belleville Henderson had a thrilling senior day. They played Sackett's Harbor and won on a 2-inning, 7th-inning walk-off. Lincoln Wood was the hero. He had the RBI single in the 7th to score senior Josh Hemingway. Josh Hemingway went 1 for 4 in the box, 1 run scored, 2 stolen bases, and he was also the pitcher of the day. He went complete game, 7 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, 2 Ks. And then also for Belleville, senior Kagan Simpson went 2 for 3 in the box, 2 runs scored, and 3 stolen bases. So getting it done offensively. also, what a just a way too for those seniors to go off on a walk-off against your league foe, and you have two seniors of Kagan Simpson and Josh Hemingway really stepping up and going out with a bang, literally.
Yeah,
so
Belleville
congrats to
Henderson
them.
has kind of found a little groove here at the end, shaking things up. Sackett
Yeah.
Harbor unsure footing to finish the season, that is for sure.
Yeah, and they, like I said earlier, they played last night against A Bay. I think the final score of that was 8-3.
11
that
to
was
2.
11 to
2. Yeah.
So who knows? I'm sure they were playing in the rain last night too, so that had to be fun.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure they played at Copenhagen too, because they have that multi-purpose turf field, which is actually pretty nice. But yeah, those are my 2 games of the week. Congrats to them. Like I said, we don't really know what's going on for sectionals as of yet. Things are still to be determined. The meeting is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., so roughly around 11 noon, we'll probably know for sure what the brackets are going into sectionals. All right. For the next segment for what's on our whiteboard here, we're going to go to our predictions. Like I said, for baseball here, I'm kind of going towards, based off of what I have available in terms of, because the seeding meeting is tomorrow. Jay, we're going to start with you because your tournaments have started. So let's start with Class D. Who is your predicted Final Four?
I think the Final Four, man, I have a top 3 for sure. I am looking at Hamilton, McGraw, and Stockbridge as our final 3 within here. The big question to me comes from the Frontier League game of Sackett Harbor versus Alex Bay. Sackett swept the matchup in the regular season, but the quarterfinal matchup, you never know what can happen, and those games weren't handily won by Sackett's, and A-Bay's offense has been pretty stellar all year, so it'll be a question of whether they can get that offense to top Sackett Harbor to get there. I do think Hamilton's matchup in the quarterfinals is also interesting. They have to play either Oriskany or Lafargeville, and that game is really interesting to me because it could really show us what the North Country is in comparison to the CSE in the CCL. Oriskany has played Hamilton tight. They lost not so close in the first game, but in the second game that they met up, they only lost 3-0 to Hamilton. And it is tough to beat a team 3 times, so we'll see what happens there. But they do have to get past the Lafargeville team, who has been super up and down and all over the place all season. And neither team really reports stats, so it's hard to get a read on either of them. Oriskany does to Syracuse.com, but Lafargeville is just cruising up north under the radar in all respects of the game. So I do have Hamilton versus Sackett Harbor and then McGraw versus Stockbridge in the semifinals. From there, I don't know. It's going to be really exciting. And I know who I want to win, but I don't need to say that.
Right. It's also, too, like you said, like it's tough beating a team 3 times, especially like with that third time being in sectionals. There's no surprises. Both teams know each other. Both teams know what to expect to a degree. But it's who's going to be the better team that day. Who's going to get the bounces. Who might get a controversial call here and there. So you just never know.
Yeah, I would expect Hamilton is able to move to the final. They've been kind of cruising all season. But really, the Stockbridge McGraw game, I'm super excited to be a part of that one because that is the rubber match that I think both teams really want. I maybe both teams would have preferred if that was the finals matchup, but
yeah.
I'm down with it either way. I'm excited to see which way that goes.
Yep.
On the Class C side of things, my first round look that I find interesting is Cooperstown versus Cincy, because I think for the kind of same reason, Cincy does not have a lot of girls this season, so they haven't had a lot of consistency as they've tried to play. One of their games against McGraw, they only had 8 girls. I think there's only about 10 on the team, so they only work with like 1 sub. But they have been hitting a stride here late. Cooperstown was sort of a front runner early and kind of stumbled a little bit down the stretch. So we'll see if they get their footing right. And again, that's another sort of comparison with this CSC and the CCL to see where things stand for both of those. Maybe that's a clue for the Class D side of things as well on where these teams stand on their own. And then one game that I'm super excited about is the quarterfinal potential matchup of Beaver River and Onondaga. Beaver River's been one of those top teams in the Frontier League. Onondaga has been on fire, but Onondaga hasn't had a whole bunch of games lately. They played a lot of their games early on, so it'll be interesting if they can keep that momentum. Their strength of schedule is also kind of questionable, so Beaver River had to play those top teams in Class C. So we'll see how those two match up. But for the Final Four for Class C, I'm giving it to Sandy Creek versus Onondaga. I think Onondaga will move on in that matchup. And then Port Byron and Thousand Islands. All of these teams have been led by some great pitching, and Onondaga probably has the best offensive team in this look, but it'll be interesting to see if they can take that offense against Sandy Creek, who is our returning champions and look like they're cruising, although dropping a few games here down the stretch, although to very good teams. So maybe Sandy Creek can use those to right the ship and get them on the right path for another repeat in the finals. Port Byron and Thousand Islands, super interesting to me because you've got Jenna Jump and company here. What is her name? Luciana Dubois. I'm making that super French. It could just be Du Bois. But I like to say it Dubois. She's been on fire lately at the plate. So them taking on the Wiley sisters here from Thousand Islands, I would be really excited to see. Dubois batting .516. She has 4 home runs on the season, 39 RBIs. And she just, Riley McDowell for Port Byron has been getting on base a ton. Her batting average is .615. She's scored 36 runs this season. So she's getting on. Luciana's hitting her in. And then to see Jen Jump in the circle, they have a very well-rounded team. So it'll be interesting to see that taking on Thousand Islands and their battery. So that's who I've got as my Final Four for Class C and D.
Wow. Sounds like Class C is pretty loaded in terms of just talent. And those, like we were talking about earlier this season, it's sounding more and more just like the Class C girls basketball, where it's like once it gets to the Final Four, it's just, flip a coin.
Yeah. There is about 6, I would throw about 6 teams' hats in the ring for this one this year.
Wow.
There's a lot of depth. It's a huge tournament. I mean, we're talking 20-something teams in this thing, but
right.
They do have a lot of talent going on here.
Wow.
How about on the baseball side of things?
So for baseball here, starting with Class D, again, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like the same parallel between baseball and softball in terms of like the Northern Country teams and potentially getting matched up with the CSC or CCL teams. So it's like, for the Frontier League, you have A Bay, who's been the one consistently winning games and having a lot of wins. So it's like, as of right now, they're potentially going to be hosting Belleville in the first round, and then going to the 3 seed, whether that's McGraw or Stockbridge Valley. So it's going to be kind of one of those interesting concepts that you just went into for softball of like, how will these Frontier teams do against everyone down here and, in the CCL and CSC? I anticipate some pretty good matchups. I think there's going to be some scores that are a little bit closer than people anticipate. And just because of the fact that, you just never know. Really, really never know. So for as of right now, with what I have, communicated with other coaches of who's going, not going, I think we're looking at 13 teams going for Class D. But that's not definite. Like I said, seeding meetings tomorrow. So, but just for purely guessing and trying to predict, I think this year it is going to be the CCL potentially going against Oriskany. So I have my Final Four of Oriskany, McGraw, Stockbridge, Madison. And as of right now, any sort of potential matchup that could look like it happens would be number 4 Madison and Poland, number 5. They just had a close game this past week. It was a 1-run game. Let me pull it up real quick. It was a 9-8 win for Poland for Madison at Poland. So that's a big win there for them. Propelled them over Poland to be the 4 seed. So, could A-Bay, because as of right now, it looks like A-Bay would, if they were to win, or if Belleville were to win that first round matchup, they would be traveling to McGraw-Stockbridge. If it's A-Bay, has everyone been sleeping on them just because of the fact that their league is a little bit down this year? Is A-Bay legit? Their record would say yes. Their stats would say yes. But again, people would argue your league is down this year. So is it kind of inflated? But I would anticipate that, they're pretty good. Like, I'm one of those people where if your record is good and you're winning and you're taking care of business, you're a good team. You're a winning team. So
yeah, I think at this point in the season, when you're getting into the playoffs, like once you get to the quarterfinals, every team deserves to be there. They're going to be a challenge. You can't sleep on any quarterfinal team that has made the tournament.
Yeah, 1,000%. So, like I said, for right now, my predictions would be Oriskany, McGraw-Stockbridge, and Madison. And if that were to go through, Oriskany Madison would be a really sneaky good matchup there. Madison's very competitive. They got good pitching. They put the ball in play. I think could definitely challenge Oriskany and have experience coaching as well. And like you said with softball for Class D, could potentially be McGraw-Stockbridge for the semifinal matchup. And as of right now, we don't know who's the 2, who's the 3, because both teams are playing today at 5 at Casanova High School. So that matchup has pretty big implications, not only for the league, but potentially to solidify who's the 2 and who's the 3 seed. So that's that for Class D. There's still some stuff up in the air. For Class C, I think everything is pretty solidified in terms of like who's going to be where in sectionals. I think there's a couple games scheduled for today, but who knows who's really playing today because, just hasn't stopped raining. My final 4 for Class C is going to be, from what I predicted, Beaver River, Bishop Grimes, Frankfurt Schuyler, and Morsel Eaton. I think, kind of like softball here, Class C, there are some good teams. And like we've said before, when it comes down to sectionals, you just never know what's going to happen on that day, right? That's what makes playoffs so great. That's what makes playoff baseball and softball so much fun, because everything is amplified, right? Every hit, every walk, every run scored, every play is just amplified. And that's what makes it so much fun. Morrisville has had a very competitive schedule. They're 9-4. They do have a tie, but it's looking like that's just going to stay a tie. Frankfurt Schuyler, another really good team that's played a competitive schedule. Fabius Pompey's come out of nowhere. They've gotten really hot in the month of May. South Louis as well. I believe they've had a pretty impressive winning streak here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
11
9,
game
10.
win streak.
11-game win streak. Now, people could argue some of those teams are, Class D teams and are at the bottom of their brackets. But, I mean, hey, like I said before, you got to take care of business. You got to win the games. So, kudos to them. They've jumped up pretty good. They've actually jumped up really high in my power rankings, too, the latest ones that I made. So, again, it's can the 5, 6, 7, 8 seeds pull off any sort of upset here? Because those teams can't be slept on. Hence why I put Morsel Eden as the 6 seed as of right now in the Final 4. They have a winning program. They've been there. They've done it. They won the Class D title like 3 years ago, I think it was. And even as a Class C this year and last year, they've been competing and winning. So you can't sleep on them. And then also, don't forget about Utica Notre Dame. I know they're 5-10, but they play a really, 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 really tough schedule. So once you get to the quarterfinals, those teams deserve to be there. So who knows what's going to happen. But like I said, my Final 4 for Class C, as predicted, is Beaver River, Bishop Grimes, Frankfurt Schuyler, and Morrisville Eaton.
Why don't you take us through? I'll take you through. Why don't you look at the Class B through AAA? Just give me who your favorite is. All right. I'll go through softball here quick. On the softball side, I'm looking at Marcellus for Class B. They are the highest rated BTM's team in the section right now. So they definitely are the favorite to go rolling through. Jordan O'Connor's batting .488 with 23 RBIs, 5 doubles, and only 4 Ks on the season. I feel like if you have more doubles than you have strikeouts, you're probably doing all right.
That's like Tony Gwynn status there. Jeez.
On the Class A side of things, Chittenango. I'm giving you the dark horse run. You've had a great season so far. Maybe not the toughest schedule according to the BTM. So I'm going out on a limb. They're ranked 4th in the tournament here. They're the 4 seed. Playing out of the Liberty League there. They have 2 TVL teams with New Hartford and Camden as the 1 and 2. Definitely legit. New Hartford is a very good team. New Hartford probably should be the favorite, but I'm rolling with Chittenango. I like the Bears. Awesome logo. Julius Spencer's leading in the circle, but man, New Hartford is the big challenge, but I'm going for my dark horse here with Chit making a run. At the AA level, I'm looking at Whitesboro. I know, very outside the box of me to take the 1 seed on this one. Whitesboro has a pretty high BTM ranking here too. Fulton started the year super hot and kind of stumbled down the stretch, taking 3 losses later in the season. But Whitesboro is got an absolute phenom on their team, an Addison Cook. She has a 1.87 ERA in the circle.
Wow.
She, at the plate, is batting .604 with 31 RBIs, 3 home runs, 3 triples, 9 doubles. She's just blasting this thing out of the park. So Addison Cook, I think, is the big X factor for Whitesboro that can get the job done. And for the Triple A's, I'm also not going to be too outside the box thinking here. I'm going with the tried and true CNS program. RFA definitely has a shot at this, and they'll be a tough matchup for sure. But CNS and Aubrey Coyle, she has 6 home runs on the season with 22 RBIs. I think CNS and the North Stars are my favorite to win the AAA.
For baseball here, things are pretty interesting for Class B. As of right now, the top 4 are Bishop Ludden, Solvay, Lowville, and Phoenix. I honestly think the top 5, which number 5 would be Little Falls, you're splitting hairs with these teams. I know Bishop Ludden has a pretty comfortable BTM ranking score gap of .825. They have a pretty competitive schedule. They had a big win the other day against Cortland, winning 1-0 in a pitcher's duel. But if I had to pick a favorite, I would lean towards probably... I don't know. This is tough because they're so close. I would have to lean just because of their record and some of their wins, and according to what I've been told, their pitching is very, very good, which in sectional baseball, that's everything, is Bishop Ludden. Solvay, Lowville, Phoenix, they can definitely beat them on any given day, including Little Falls. I mean, Little Falls, people are, they're reigning sectional champs and a state Final Four team. So, they know what to do. They're going to be prepared. So yeah, I would lean just slightly towards Bishop Ludden.
Yeah, Bishop Ludden's an interesting one because they were the heavy favorites last year in Class C and fell short there. Came up against a very hot Mount Markham Mustangs team and lost that. So is this the redemption tour, or does like a team that, there's only 2 Frontier League teams in all of Class B? So is this like a moment where Lowville can sneak in and, grab something that someone doesn't expect? Yeah, I think you are splitting hairs there on that top end.
Yeah, and they were runner-ups last year for Class B, and they have a pretty young team, and they pretty much returned almost everyone. So who knows? The other thing too with Phoenix, right? If they're the Final Four and they finish as the 4 seed and match up with Bishop Ludden in the semifinals, if their ace Ty Corey is lined up for that semifinal game, that's gonna be a low-scoring game. He's got 44 innings pitched, only 35 hits, and 75 Ks. Wow. And a 1.83 ERA.
Yeah.
So, it's not an arm I would want to face. Sleeper, real quick, is APW. There was a little controversy there. Little controversy. As you reported, they were confirmed a Class B school because of the fact of they met the qualification according to the beds numbers by 1 kid. We've seen this in the past, kind of recently with McGraw. They were a Class C team by 1 kid as well. So, but hey, they're still winning. They're 9-2. Derek Rice is an absolute stud. He's been pitching really, really good in 23 innings pitched. He's got 45 Ks, only 20 hits. Hunter Johnson is doing the same thing, 22 innings pitched, 15 hits, 42 Ks. So it's looking like they could have a 2-headed monster there on the bump. So it's like, do you want to base that?
Derek Rice come in clutch against Port Pirate. I'm having a stroke. I can't talk. Derek Rice came in clutch in that game against Port Byron, scoring the tying run by stealing home. They're a dangerous team, regardless of C or B. They are a dangerous team for sure.
Yeah, and on top of that too, they beat Port Byron twice with Port Byron's ace Connor Usowski on the mound, and that's impressive. You can take 2 against Port Byron with him on the mound. You can beat anyone because he's legit on the bump in terms of velocity and just his pitch quality, everything.
Absolutely. What are you looking at for Class A?
Class A, again, we are splitting hairs. As of right now, the top 4 is JD, New Hartford, Cortland, West Hill. I have to go with JD as the favorite. They have 3 phenomenal arms. They're reigning sectional champs. They've been there. They've done it. They're competitive. Their schedule has been very competitive. They've won. They've proven it. They're 14-2 on the year. I think if anyone wants to win it this year in Class A, it's got to go through JD. Portland's been playing really well. New Hartford's come along a little bit. They have a game today against Utica Proctor. Not sure if that got canceled or not. But also, it looks like South Jeff is playing some good ball. They just had a nice walk-off win the other day against CBA. So, once again, once you get to the quarterfinals and after that, it's whoever's better that day. So, absolutely. But for Class A, I got to lean towards JD.
I think JD's crazy because they definitely play a difficult schedule being in the Empire League. But they have the highest run differential of any team in Class A.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild.
Yep.
All right, Double A.
Double A. I think this is pretty evident of who this goes through, which is West Jenny. But if there is a team that could knock them off, I think it is Whitesboro. If that is the finals matchup, that is going to be an incredible game. Both programs have proven it. Both programs are well-oiled machines. They've been there. They've done it. They have a long line of success. West Jenny is the reigning champ for Double A. If there's a team to kind of throw this bracket off a little bit with only 8 teams, I think it would be Oswego. I could see them potentially upsetting Central Square. I think that would be a close matchup here. But as of right now, the way that it looks and with all the results, I mean, their schedule is pretty obvious in terms of the results. Whitesboro and West Jenny here are definitely the top 2, with West Jenny being clear-cut, pretty evident number 1, in my opinion.
All right.
And then last but not least, going to AAA here, we only have 8 teams as well. This has been a weird season for AAA. Beeville has been the number 1 seed for quite a while here, so I think they've pretty much established themselves as the number 1. but they've also split games with CNS. CBA and CNS had some close games. CNS got upset by Liverpool as well. Utica Proctor's been playing very, very well lately. So I would say, things got to lean towards Beeville here. But again, we're splitting hairs here. These teams are so good. If there's a team that I think could get hot or maybe, throw this bracket off a little bit, I would lean towards CNS. But from the way that their schedules have panned out here, it's looking like everything's going to go through Beeville. But don't sleep on Utica Proctor either, because they've been playing pretty well too. But yeah, I think as of right now, you gotta go with what the seedings say, and it's got to go through Beeville right now. All right. I believe that is it for what is on our whiteboard. Anything else on your end?
I have one little final point rant to make. My final point. I feel like we harp on this all the time, and I do feel like I'm just beating a dead horse once again. But the BTM shouldn't be used. It's not a good metric. It has shaken out semi-accurately in my mind this year. So I don't think you're going to see like a lot of crazy things with it. With baseball, especially, there's always room for upsets because of the pitch count, and it's about how deep your bullpen is at times. One of my friends has mentioned this as well. We cause, how do I say this? I just have to be really honest about what I think about the BTM, because I think it is a cool idea, but it sucks. So I like the idea of head-to-head matchups. A true BTM model takes run differential and the scores into account for the game. And I agree that we should not do that. Unless you cap like a mercy rule as a mercy rule. Like if no matter what the score is, if it's a 12 run in softball, the mercy rule is 12 for us. So if it's 12, if you win by 15, if you win by 20, if you win by whatever, it goes in as a 12 run victory. Because I don't want teams to run the score up for their BTM score. Because I do view that as the right decision, that we take the score out of it. However, the Bradley Terry model is supposed to use a score. So we don't have that information. You have these bubble teams that just sit within the league. The other mention from one of my friends is, if we continue with the BTM, there has to be a requirement that leagues play each other. There has to be crossovers, because we don't have that information. And even if we do, that information is limited to one or two teams.
Right. Who
then become this kind of nexus team, and who knows where they actually sit in all of this. But that can impact an entire league standing. The strength of schedule model is supposed to be more fair, to give teams that play tough schedules a better seeding, so that we're seeing the better teams make it to the end. And this model doesn't know it. It doesn't know. Do I think it's getting the number one seed right on most occasions? Yeah, I do. I think almost every model can get the top seed right.
You can argue probably 1 and 2 as well.
Yeah, it's those teams in the middle that I think are getting so flipped around, and now you're taking long trips. And the other thing is, these teams aren't willing to play each other. We have schools that are very worried about bus times and how much money they're spending on their drivers and the distances that they're going. So there are teams that can't go up to the Frontier League to play, which means the Frontier League needs to come to us. That's not fair to the Frontier League to have to make that trip. Was talking to McGraw's softball coach the other day, said that no, they contacted literally everybody up north. No one would play them. Nobody wanted them on their schedule. And there is a confusion for a lot of teams on how the BTM works. Like, you have to look at the scores, and you want to play teams that have a good BTM score. That's your goal. But small schools are getting hurt because bigger schools don't want to play smaller schools because they still think it's a huge effect, which is not the case. You could play, Beaver River has an 810 BTM ranking, which means in Class B, from Solvay down, everyone is below that ranking. They would all benefit from playing Beaver River. In Class A, from the 5 seed down, all of those schools would benefit from playing Beaver River. But they won't. At a double A, Auburn, Central Square, Oswego, they're all below Beaver River. The BTM says Beaver River's the better team than you. But they won't play them because they think it'll hurt their score.
Right.
So we need to play those.
The thing, too, is, like, for me, I believe there's no consistency. So, like, I understand, like, it does add a little bit of an excitement value of, like, well, if we win this game, how much does it propel us? If we lose, how much do we go down? Blah, 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 blah. It does generate a pretty good narrative and, makes every game have some sort of value, which I appreciate. But, like, I feel like it is so easy to go down than to go up.
Yeah.
Like, I understand if your BTM scores are close and if you win that, then, like, there isn't really that much of a jump, which I get. That's fine. But, like, there has to be a more clear-cut approach to this and way to factor things in.
Yeah, I think what you're speaking of here is transparency, and that's what the BTM does not have. You're not allowed to see what the model is doing. You can't see what the model is doing. You have no idea what the math is. You have a BTM score, but you don't really know how that score is generated. And again, I understand the bigger school's fear of playing a smaller school in this because while Beaver River's score right now is an 810, and you can look at it at the end of the season and say, man, they're really good. If Beaver River were to lose to one of their league opponents, like let's say they played against, Sackett Harbor had a good year. Let's say Sackett Harbor won. Sackett Harbor's ranking is, where'd they go? Oh, wow, they fell down. Is a 0.083. Beaver River would plummet in their BTM score if Sackett Harbor were to win. Right? Sackett Harbor might move up to like a 300 team. Beaver River would drop significantly. Every team that played Beaver River at that moment would then also drop.
Yeah, we just saw this because DeRuyter, who's in our league, upset Kaz 4-3.
Yes.
Going into that game
takes a jump.
Yeah, going into that game, we were Stockbridge. We were 0.38 something, I think, maybe 0.39. Now we're 0.438. So, like, just because of DeRuyter's win, that gave us a boost because of our not only schedule in general, but our league schedule.
Yeah, and if you take a look at Kaz, who's in the Liberty 2 division, I bet that loss had a big effect on Phoenix as well. Phoenix probably dropped a bit.
They dropped down to 4. I think they were 2 or 3.
And
actually, no, Solvay was 2. So I think it dropped them down. But also, every team that has beat Kaz, now they go down. And then every other team that has beat Kaz as well, especially if you're a higher up team, your score goes down.
And so we made some people less than happy when we published the softball rankings before they wanted them to be published. And to me, that kind of drives me nuts because why are we waiting on these brackets anyway? If you want there to be excitement and like release what your score is right away so you can see how volatile and crazy it is from day one. But to me, I would like more transparency than that. Like, I don't know. I go back to the BCS model. I don't think it's necessarily wrong. The rankings in Class B are super strange. I will say that when I was looking at them for softball. But your win percentage plus your opponent's win percentage plus your opponent's win percentage. It's super simple to figure that out. To not do the math. Trust me, it's complicated to do all of that math. That's a lot of equations to throw in. But it's straightforward to know that I need to play good teams. And that's it.
Yeah.
regardless of class. Class doesn't matter. I'm going to go through and I'm going to look at teams that have good winning records. So Beaver River, I want to play them because they're 13-3. I want to play Frankfurt Schuyler because they're 10-4. I want to play Fabius Pompey because they're 10-2.
Right.
And for big schools, that should be an incentive to play smaller schools that are good because it'll help their scores. Because they're playing good winning teams, which is kind of what we want, is that flexibility to play whatever schools we want to play. And if you're a middling program that's struggling, sure, know that you're going to get hurt in your rankings if you're playing weaker opponents. But if you need your win percentage to go up because you're trying to build something, then yeah, schedule your weaker opponents. Is it going to hurt you in sectionals? Yeah, it is. But if what you're looking for is to build your record, to build your program, you're not going to be hurt, and teams are going to be willing to play you in that model. While the BTM, I think, is just, it's all over the place. And it's so dependent on metrics that we don't have.
Right. And also, especially when you have a season like this, where your games are limited, it hurts you.
Yeah, because almost every team is in a bubble this year because not a lot of cross-league play happened.
Right, because a lot of schools had to replace their non-leagues with the league games to finish their league schedule.
Exactly. All right, that's my final point. I've said it many times, but I had to say it again.
Yeah, but I think you and I can agree on the fact that for other sports like soccer, basketball, even football, not sure about lacrosse because I don't check lacrosse scores. Sorry, lacrosse players, but I feel like for soccer and basketball, especially, the BTM has done a pretty good job, especially getting like 1 through. You could even say 1 through like 6, correct?
Yeah, and because in soccer and football, especially, football hasn't adopted it yet, but
oh, that's right. Sorry,
but soccer, you're playing your league. There's you're not getting a lot of games rescheduled, so you're playing your full schedule. And there's just the consistency about it that it tends to work out. Yep. But yeah, in this setting, I just
think there's so many variables in baseball and softball that it's hard to really use this system for baseball and softball because of its uniqueness and how many different variables account for whether a team is good or not.
Right. And your overall goal should be winning as many games as possible. Maybe not necessarily as much as trying to game a system.
Right.
So I think the BCS model where it's still based on your win percentage does help in that, and just you're trying to win games.
Yep. I agree.
But I'm sick of being angry. Let's break into some more fun. Let's go.
I feel like that rant just woke you up here a little bit.
It did. Listen, I don't sleep a lot. On another final point, this is mostly a one-man show. I got Sanders helping me out on the podcast. It's wonderful. I do have an intern who has just been wonderful and is working so hard to provide lacrosse some coverage. I appreciate those who have patience with the growing pains of trying to expand. I have not gone to bed before 1 a.m. yet this week. So when we make mistakes, I appreciate the patience. You can call them out by no means am I saying, are we going to be perfect and should be exempt from you telling us that we're wrong. But show us some love and support for trying to help you guys out. I don't know.
Yeah. The other day, someone mentioned the fact that I forgot Hannibal in the power rankings. So I was like, damn, my bad. Yeah. My bad.
So we are total amateurs pretending to be good professionals at this. So
yeah.
Let's get to the breakdown.
All right, let's do it.
All right. I feel like I go first often, so I'm going to punish you by going first. Okay. Also, you tend to give me ridiculous trivia questions that take me forever to think about everything. So I will also recap that for you.
I may have 2 of those for you today.
Oh, great. All right. Well, hopefully we don't have the same one, because that would be a real bummer if we knew the answers. So Here it is. There are 12 bird teams across the Big Four. Who are they?
Okay. Got 12. Okay. You got the Arizona Cardinals.
Yes.
You got St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes.
You have Toronto Blue Jays.
Correct.
You have Atlanta Hawks.
Yes. You're at 4.
You have Seattle Seahawks.
The Seahawks, yep.
How
fast is he going to get it done? We're at 5. 7 more.
God. I'm trying to think about hockey. Are we considering a penguin a bird?
A penguin is definitely a bird, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Just
I
because
didn't
they
know
can't
about the-
fly doesn't mean they're not a bird. All right? Just throwing shade at my favorite
Okay.
hockey team there. Yeah, they can skate just fine. Thank you. Ever heard of
According to the
Mario
logo,
Lemieux?
too, yeah.
Huh?
All right, so that's 6.
6.
Okay. I'm just going through the divisions here. Oh,
There-
Baltimore Orioles.
Baltimore Orioles. You have gotten all
Baltimore.
of the baseball teams.
Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore Ravens. You're at 8. So you
Oh.
got 4 more.
Atlanta Falcons.
Atlanta Falcons. 9. There's one more NFL team that you're missing.
One more NFL.
1 NFL, 1 hockey, and 1 NBA, I believe, is what you're missing.
Okay. So
So you're
one
at 9.
NFL. So 1 each.
Yep.
NFL.
I love this.
Oh God! How did I not get this one the first time? Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Oh my
You
God!
just put them in the black spot of your head so you didn't think about them, Mr. Giants fan.
As a Giants fan, I don't want to, so that's cool.
All right. so
how
you got all
they did
the
not,
NFL.
how they did not ban the tush push is beyond me.
It's illegal for the defense to do that. Why isn't it illegal for the offense?
Yeah, seriously. Anyway, all right. So I need one
One
NBA,
hockey,
one.
one NBA.
Okay. Oh boy. The NBA one's gonna be tough.
The NBA one that is left is very tough.
Why I can't? I don't know why I can't think of the hockey one. I feel like I should get that one quick.
It is. It's one of the most well-branded franchises in all of NHL history.
Oh God.
In fact, there's a whole movie series based about them.
There's a whole TV series based on
A
that?
whole movie? Oh, yeah, there was an animated cartoon show, too. That's way back there.
What the? It's not Dallas. It's not Minnesota. It's not Colorado. It's not LA. Oh, Anaheim. Oh
Yeah! Quack, 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 quack.
my God. Oh. The ducks fly together, damn it.
All right, one NBA team. I don't know if you're going to get it. You tell me when you want to tap out.
Okay. I'm just going again, like, across the United States. Knicks, Nets, Philly,
South.
South.
Go south.
You got the Miami Heat, Orlando Magic. Oh, New Orleans Pelicans.
There you go. Nice. One of the new ones. Yeah, see, I probably would have missed that one for sure. But
Yep. You saying go south helped.
alrighty, you did it.
That was a good one. All right. So I think one that I have for you is easy.
Okay. Every
The
time
other
you
one
say
is
that, I
difficult.
struggle. Every time you
Yeah,
say
right.
that, I
Well,
struggle.
I know. Okay. Across the big 4 leagues: NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, and NHL.
Yep.
The 4 leagues. There are 6 shared team names. What are they?
Shared team names. Like
Correct.
they're shared between the. Okay, so Cardinals, Arizona, St. Louis.
Cardinals
St.
is one.
Louis's. Rangers, Texas, and New York.
Yep.
Okay, you can't think of things that are like sport-specific names, so that definitely is interesting. How many are there?
6. You have 2.
There's 6. Huh? Okay. The Giants, New York, and San Francisco.
Yep.
Let's see. Giants. Interesting that there's not another team named the Eagles.
Right?
Yeah, that's odd. Same with the Falcons. There's not another Falcons team, is there?
No.
Yeah, that's weird. To pick such a generic bird, you would think that you'd have more people pick a generic thing.
Right, and it's an easy logo too.
Yeah.
5 hours later.
This is the one that I thought you would be doing well on, by the way.
Oh, great.
I have a hint for each one, so you let me know when you want a hint.
All right, give me a hint. It's been too long.
Okay. One of the ones that you're looking for, both teams are in California.
This is wild.
I can't believe this right now. I can't believe this.
It's not logos, man. You're giving me words. That's the thing. You gave me logos. I'm down with it.
The next one is logos, if it helps you.
Okay, well, see, me and you apparently think differently on what's easy and what's hard. Oh my God. Kings.
Yes.
Sacramento Kings. There we
and
go.
LA Kings.
LA Kings. Man, that's only like, what, 3?
4.
4.
Got 2 more.
I really hit a wall there.
For the next one you're looking for, they're both in the South.
Both in the South.
And one of which is still playing right now in the hockey playoffs.
Yeah, that doesn't help me. I haven't paid any attention to the hockey playoffs. But it did help me enough because it's definitely the Florida Panthers who are Carolina Panthers. All right.
Yep.
So there's one more. Football and hockey. Oh! I got it. They're both terrible. Well, historically terrible. I assume Winnipeg has gotten better. But the Jets.
Yep, Winnipeg has gotten better. They're actually the President Trophy winners this year.
Yeah. We used to call them the Losipeg Jets back in the day when they then disbanded and left and then came back.
They're good now. I mean, they're not in the playoffs now, but no, they're one of the better teams now in the NHL.
Yeah, New York still sucks. I appreciate it as a Bills fan. I like it.
Yeah, it's okay. Giants will get there eventually, maybe.
To that level of crap, I agree. They are well on their way.
Yeah, let's just keep making it worse too. By the way, for Giants fans, and let's give the Giants the hardest schedule in the NFL next year.
Hey, you deserved it. You earned it.
Sure. Yeah.
You earned it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's the difficult one that I might find easier?
Which 2 NHL logos have a helmet?
Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Yes.
And a helmet. And the Ottawa Senators.
God dang it.
I told you, I'm a visual person, man.
But, like, I thought that would be hard as, like, a trick question because they're not even hockey helmets. They're armor helmets.
Yeah. That was a good question. I like that one. So you got to throw it in my wheelhouse and I knock it out.
I'm noting that now. Because I thought that one was going to be the hardest one out of the 2. Even when I saw that video clip, I was like, which 2? I'm like... And I watched hockey pretty frequently. And I'm like, the first one that came into my head was Pittsburgh.
Nope.
I thought the Penguin had a helmet.
The Penguin had a helmet on? I think way back, the classic logo may have.
Might have.
But
maybe that's what I was thinking of. And I was just like,
recently,
I can't think of one.
Yeah.
And then
Vegas is like such a good logo because the V of the helmet is in there.
The NHL has done a phenomenal job with their 3 new teams, with the Vegas Golden Knights and their jerseys too, the gold and gray.
Yeah. Oh.
And then
the only thing I don't like about Vegas is that it ruined the Penguins for me. The expansion draft, they cut apart by glorious back-to-back championship runs.
Yeah.
And drafted away all of our talent that apparently was the glue that kept us going.
Yeah. And then the Seattle Kraken. First of all, great name.
Great.
The logo's great. And then most recently, Utah.
Yeah.
Now, which used to be Arizona Coyotes.
I think hockey is willing to just, because they're on the cusp of, like, you know, they are a major franchise, but they're not like one of the mainstream major franchises. Like, they have more willingness to take risks with all of their logos and rebrandings
Mm-hmm.
Well, like the NFL has this class, and Major League Baseball even more so. Like, we have a history of this logo. We are not touching it. And
Yeah.
the NHL's like, eh. I mean, the Sabres, like, what? They've changed the logo like 17 times. Why? They don't have any history of success. I mean, just keep changing until something works.
They got to go back to the goat head.
The black and red color scheme, buffalo head. Yeah.
But yeah,
I hated
Utah's
those when
now,
they first came out.
Utah's the Mammoths now.
Yeah, that's
Which is
cool.
phenomenal
Which I
logo.
love the
And the
Alps,
colors.
the mountains that are in the fur of the charging mammoth head. Like,
Yep.
super well, subtly done.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And they might have subtly leaked it before they actually announced it, unintentionally, intentionally.
That's how you do it, to see if there's a huge backlash before you then announce it, and then you're like,
Yeah.
maybe we can walk this back a little bit.
Yeah. And let's just have our first year. We're going to be called the Hockey Club and sell those jerseys, and then we'll rebrand, and then everyone else can buy those jerseys.
Yeah, they learned a solid lesson from Washington on how to make the most of a rebranding.
Oh yeah. Yep. All right, so I got nothing else. That was my two for the breakdown. You had a good one. Any closing remarks, statements, anything at all?
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Things are finally winding down. Hopefully, hope beyond hope, the weather finally takes a turn here, and we get to experience the joys of postseason baseball and softball as we come to a close. We will be releasing all-star teams and stuff in the near future. Just as a note, those all-star teams are completely based on statistics. There is no subjectivity in this at all. No one is nominating anybody. It is purely based on numbers. While sometimes that can be problematic in other sports, I do feel like it is the fairest way to do this process. So you can think that you're better than other kids on that team, but I'm going by what the numbers say. So congratulations to all the teams on making it to this postseason. Good luck in your postseason runs, and congratulations to all these kids who are going to be on these all-star teams and get this recognition. We'll be doing stat leaders, the stat champions here in the near future as well. So make sure you keep following along with us for those. Anything from you?
Nope. Last day for games here for baseball. Got a big matchup with Stockbridge and McGraw tonight, and then that'll determine the Rider matchups. Seeding meeting tomorrow morning, and then Monday is the play-in round, and Tuesday is the first official round of the sectional tournament.
Hey, well, thank you for following along and tuning in this week to our podcast. This is the place to come for because we got big coverage, small schools, CNY Sports Authority. Thanks.
The whole world was a playground until the sun went down. We had